Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 26. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Banachari. Yamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Paribrajakacarya Stotara Sata Sri Sri Madhesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Premsakaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 26. Na buddhi bhedam janayed agyanam karma sanginam joshayet sarvakarmani vidvan yukta samacharam. Na buddhi bhedam janayed agyanam karma sanginam joshayet sarvakarmani vidvan yukta samacharan. Na buddhi bhedam janayed agyanam karma sanginam yoshayet sarvakarmani vidvan yukta samacharan. Na, do not, buddhi bhedam, disrupt the intelligence, janayed, do, Agyanam of the foolish. Karma sangimam, attached to fruit of work. Joshayed, dovetailed. Sarva, all. Karmani, work. Vidvan, learned. Yukta, all engaged. Samacharan, practicing. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Let not the wise disrupt the minds of the ignorant who are attached to fruit of action. They should not be encouraged to refrain from work, but to engage in work in the spirit of devotion. Purport. Vedaischa sarvair aham eva vedyaha. That is the end of all Vedic rituals. All rituals, all performances of sacrifices and everything that is put into the Vedas, including all directions for material activities, are meant for understanding Krishna, the ultimate goal of life. But because the conditioned souls do not know anything beyond sense gratification, they study the Vedas to that end. Through sense regulations, however, one is gradually elevated to Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a realized soul in Krishna consciousness should not disturb others in their activities or understanding, but he should act by showing how the results of all work can be dedicated to the service of Krishna. The learned Krishna conscious person may act in such a way that the ignorant persons working for sense gratification may learn how to act and how to behave. Although the ignorant man is not to be disturbed in his activities, still a slightly developed Krishna conscious person may directly be engaged in the service of the Lord without waiting for other Vedic formulas. For this fortunate man, there is no need to follow the Vedic rituals, because in direct Krishna consciousness, one can have all the results simply by following the prescribed duties of a particular person. Na buddhi bhedam janayed agyanam karma sanginam joshayed savakarmani vidvan yukta samacharam. So in the beginning of this purpose, Srila Prabhupada quotes a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, verse 15. Sarvasya chaham redi sanivishto. Krishna says, I am situated in the heart of everyone. Matta smritir jnanam apoanam cha. From me, knowledge, remembrance and forgiveness is coming. Vedais cha sarvair, which is quoted here, out of all the Vedas, aham eva vedyu, I am to be known. Vedanta Krit, I am the compiler of Vedanta. Veda Vid, I am the knower of the Vedas. Eva Chaham, that is me. So this is the purpose of life, because this is the reality. The reality is that all knowledge, Veda means knowledge, so all knowledge is meant to understand Krishna. The end of the Veda, or the Veda Anta, the conclusion of the Veda, is to understand Krishna. Krishna himself has compiled Vedic knowledge through the power of great sages. The latest in that line was Veda Vyas. Veda Vyas took the Atharva Veda, which was one complete Veda, and he divided it into 4 parts. Rig, Shama, Yajur, and Atharva. Different Vedas, for example, the Sama Veda deals with chanting, all different kinds of mantras, and how to chant, which is actually very difficult, if not impossible to do now. The chanting of mantras and the use of the sound force can be very, very powerful. We have seen that if someone plays a very, very high note on a musical instrument, he can break a crystal glass. Just the power of the sound cracks the glass. So in ages past, during the Vedic times, sages who lived for many, many hundreds of years, thousands of years in the Satya Yuga, they practiced the art of perfecting the vibration of sound. Even today, sound is so powerful that if one chants the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If he chants this mantra every day for 2 hours, within a few days, within a few weeks, he will become a transformed person. There is many examples. The mantra is so powerful that it clears the mirror of the heart. Lord Chaitanya compared the heart to a mirror. If we look inside our heart, we should not see a bodily conception idea. We should not see that I am a man, I am a woman, I am American, I am German, I am this, I am that. No, we should see I am a spirit soul. But because the mirror is unclear, because it is contaminated, because it is dirty, and what is that contamination? The contamination is the tendency to identify with the body. When we look inside, we see our own self-interest. And when we see our own self-interest, that will be in opposition to everybody else's self-interest, and there will be no peace. Because we are not putting the self-interest into the real owner of the self, Krishna, because we are keeping our self-interest for ourselves, then we become competitors. It's just like if you throw a stone in a pond, the stone hits the water and it creates a circle. If you throw a second stone, it creates a second circle, and the circles will break against each other. But if you are able to throw this, all of us on the edge of the lake, if we all throw the stone in exactly the same spot, the circles become concentric. They expand from the center, one after another, and there will be harmony. So the center of the circle, the center of our circle of interest is the Supreme Lord. And He is Hriday Vishnu, is situated within the heart. This is our first duty. If we don't uncover our eternal connection with Krishna, we cannot lead others. But once we know, then we can engage others in devotional service, as explained in this verse, and not disturb them. Prabhupada is a classic example. He came to the West and he was able to extract from each and every one of his followers some kind of service which was suitable for the person, so there would be no disruption, and at the same time one would make spiritual advancement. If he saw that somebody was too much attached to sex life, then he would marry them. He says, yes, you may have sex, but in marriage, not illicit sex. Illicit sex means to use sex life against the purpose for which it was created. No one can argue that sex life is created for propagation. So if you use it in the proper way, you will get a proper result. If you misuse it, if you use it only to exploit each other for some temporary pleasure, then there will be friction. There will be competition. So most people in Kali Yuga don't live very long. They are very much identified with the body, just like animals. For example, if you have a dog and you're Krishna conscious, you see the dog, but you understand that the dog, he cannot chant Hare Krishna. He cannot hear about spiritual life. But if you give the dog some prasadam, if you use the dog's attachment to you in such a way that you are pure, then the dog becomes benefited. The very next example is there in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Every year, during the 4 months of Chaturmas, about 200 devotees would go from Navadip to Jagannath Puri to spend the 4 months of the rainy season with Lord Chaitanya. And the leader of this group was a devotee called Shivananda Sena. Shivananda Sena was a very rich man and a very great devotee of Lord Chaitanya. Actually, in Krishna Leela, he was one of the gopis who acted as messengers for Radharani. So he was very advanced, very liberated person. So every year he would take these 200 devotees on foot, and they would walk all the way from Navadip in Bengal to Puri in Orissa. He would pay for all the accommodation, he would arrange all the accommodation, he would arrange all the food, he would arrange the boats to cross the rivers. He took care of the whole program. So much was he inclined to serve the devotees. On one of his trips, a stray dog befriended him, started following him. So he took care of the dog. Every evening he had the cooks cook some rice to give to the dog, and when they would come to a boatman, mostly in India, the boatman that will not allow dogs on their boats, he would pay extra for the boatman to allow the dog to cross the river. So in this way, he took care of the dog. Because the dog had come to him, he didn't chase him away. He didn't think, oh, there's a dog. No, he thought, this is a spirit soul. Somehow he has come to me. What can I do that is good for him? So, my association, he thought is good for him, and giving him prasad. One day, during the trip, he was very busy arranging with some local officials about the party, and he came back late to the camp, and the dog was gone. So he asked the cook, where's the dog? We don't know. Did you feed him? No, we forgot. So immediately he arranged a party of many hundreds of people to look everywhere for the dog. So they searched high and low. They couldn't find the dog. Anyhow, some days later they arrived in Jagannath Puri, and when Shivananda Sen came to offer his obeisances to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he saw in the corner of the courtyard that dog lying there, sitting there. And Lord Chaitanya was eating coconut pulp, and he was throwing the remnants of the pulp to the dog, and the dog was eating it. So Shivananda became so happy to see the dog, he offered his obeisances to the dog, because he understood that this dog is a devotee. The next day the dog disappeared, but it was understood from Lord Chaitanya that the dog had become liberated. So even a dog can become liberated if he associates with a Vaishnava. So we are living in a doggish cat and dog society. Why is that? Because society, people in general, they are simply interested in enjoying their senses. They're not interested in hearing about spiritual life. Even if they go to church or to temple or to the mosque, they go with a material desire. Oh Lord, give us today our daily bread. They go to satisfy their material needs. Of course, this is not bad. It's better than nothing. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvida bhajante mam. 4 types of people worship me. Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritino Arjuna. My dear Arjuna, these 4 kinds of people are sukritino. They are doing good activities. They are pious. So, Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritino Arjuna artha gignasur artharthi gyani cha. These 4 are the arthas, the ones who need material goods. Artharthi, those who are suffering and want relief from the pain. Jnani, those who are in knowledge. And Gignasu, those who are inquisitive. So the whole basis of Krishna consciousness is to associate with people who are inquisitive, who have an interest in spiritual life. And how can we help them? We can help them by ourselves becoming pure. The whole process of Krishna consciousness is to become self-realized, to become pure in ourselves. And what is the process of becoming pure? The process of becoming pure is to engage in pure devotional service. Not going to church or to temple or to mosque to ask for anything, but going to give something. If you want to make friendship with someone, you don't go and exploit the person. You go and ask him, what can I do for you? So when you go to church or when you go and practice your spiritual life, the mentality should be, my dear Lord, what can I do for you? You're doing so much for me. You're giving me life. You're giving me food. You're giving me shelter. You're giving me everything I have. So what can I do in exchange? And Krishna says, just think of me, man mana, bhava mad bhakto, become my devotee. Madhyaji, worship me. Mam namaskuru, offer your obeisances unto me. Mam evashyashi satyante, I'm telling you this, satyam, this truth, pratijano priyasime, because you're dear to me. We are all dear to Krishna because we are Krishna's children. Even the dogs and the cats and the animals, everybody is dear to Krishna. So that mentality we should develop, and then we can actually do good to others and at the same time do good to ourselves. So in Kali Yuga, in a time in which we live, people don't have long lives. They are not pure, they are not clean, they are not truthful, they are not merciful, they are not tolerant. Why? Kalena Balina Rajanda. The Kali Yuga in which we live is very, very strong. Nangshati Ayur Balan Smritihi. People have short life and they have very little memory, and there are arrests just like being in a prison house. In a prison house, there is no liberty, there is no freedom, there is no time even to think properly because you're forced to suffer under the rules of the prison. You cannot move, you cannot go anywhere, you cannot dress like you want, you cannot do what you like with your time. Everything is imposed upon you. So in Kali Yuga, we are living in the prison of the material world at its worst. There are different kinds of prisons, class A, class B, class C. We are living in a class C prison. Class C means you're bound by the legs with shackles and you are forced to work, to break rocks or to do some menial work, and you are given no facilities. So this is the material world in Kali Yuga. And the symptoms of Kali Yuga are given in the 12th canto of the Bhagavatam. The first symptom is Dampatye Abhiruchir Hetu. That we make relationship, especially the relationship between husband and wife, simply on Abhiruchi, whether we like the external, or we like the beauty of this woman, she likes the beauty of the wealth of this man, so we will get together. Mayeva avyeva harite. Business will be consisting of cheating. Sritve pumscha hi ratim vipradve sutramevahi. Men and women will be attracted by sex and nothing else. And you can see all our activities, from sport to movies to news to the internet to entertainment to politics, it's all based on sex life. They use sex to sell, they use sex to control people, and people themselves are controlled by sex. Very, very powerful controlling power. And Vipradve Sutramevahi. The Vipras, the so-called Brahmanas, the so-called intellectuals, the so-called philosophical guides of society, they will only be known by the sacred thread, by some external cloth, by some external dress. Here in Europe, the priest, they will have a white collar. In India, they will have a Brahmin thread. And in this way, never mind that they are not giving any philosophical guidance, never mind that they have no knowledge or are able to impart knowledge, but because they externally have the symptoms, then they are accepted as spiritual leaders. Especially in India, there are two kinds: Jat Goshai, and Jat Goshai means a Goswami coming in a family tradition. Goswami means one who controls the senses. Lord Chaitanya had many Goswami associates who established many temples, especially in Vrindavan. And they established priests to take care of the deities. So after the disappearance of the Goswamis, these priests, some of them were married, and they assumed the title of Goswami, and they handed it down to their children so that they could maintain the Seva Puja in the temple, which was like a job for them. So they are still there. They are called Jat Goshai, and there was a great fight between them and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, because he was preaching that the Goswami is not one who inherits the title by family succession. Goswami is one who can control the senses, and anyone can become a Goswami. No one can claim to be a Goswami simply by family connection. For example, there is the Nityananda Vamsa in India, that they claim to be descendants from Lord Nityananda and his son Virabhadra. So Bhaktisiddhanta, he smashed this Jat Goshai. In fact, he upset them so much that they paid the police. They collected 25,000 rupees at that time and paid the police to kill Bhaktisiddhanta. And the policeman came to Bhaktisiddhanta and said, "You're in danger. These caste Goswamis have collected money to kill you. They've come to bribe us. Of course, we are police, we take bribes, and we do kill people, but we don't kill saintly persons. We don't kill sadhus." So he was warned. So there was a plot to kill him. So this is Kali Yuga. Lingam evashrama kyato. So as I was saying, evashrama kyato means external, and we see also there is in India especially, and even here in the West, there is a guru business, that the guru comes and simply because he has the title, because he's been authorized by some committee, he claims to be guru, and he makes a very good business out of it. So we don't want to be involved in that. And Durevari Ayanam Tirtham. In Kali Yuga, we think that a holy place is far away. For example, in Calcutta, the river Ganges comes right through the city. It's called the Bhagirathi or the Hooghly. And it is the same Ganges that flows in Rishikesh and Haridwar. But many Bengalis, they will go every year on pilgrimage to Haridwar to take bath in the same water that is flowing right outside their house. So that's Durevari, long distance away, Ayanam Tirtham. They think that the Tirtha, or holy place, is good if it is far away. Lavanyam Keshadaranam. If you have long hair, then you're considered to be very beautiful. Udaram Bharata Swarta. The main business of life is to fill your belly with food. Satya Vedashtamevahi. And truth will be recognized if somebody can speak very forcefully, then they think that is the truth. Daksham Kutumba Bharanam. And if one can maintain his family, he is considered to be Daksha, or very expert. Yashurte Dharma Sevanam. And people will practice dharma or religion for yasha, for some public acclaim, for some recognition, for some pride. So we have to be careful and understand the situation in which we live in. We have to try, and not only ourselves, but those around us and those we meet, to engage them in Krishna consciousness by chanting the holy name, by following the principles, because as soon as you follow the principles of the chanting of the holy name, you can become to understand what is your position as a spirit soul. Not in theory, but in practice. Once you actually realize your spiritual position, you will never forget. Thank you very much. So we have some of our regular attendees. Hare Krishna from Mandi Prior, Atmavidya Prabhu, humble obeisances to the assembled Vaishnava devotees. And Anders Sederberg, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Thank you very much for joining me. And if you have any more comments, please feel free to type them. And I'll see you next week on Wednesday. Haribol.